Hello everyone, my name is Hanna Anderson and welcome to my senior show Artist Talk. The title of my work that I will be discussing today is called Where Are We Safe? So to begin, I would like to introduce myself. As I mentioned before, I am Hanna. I grew up in a small town of Lino Lakes, Minnesota, and I will be graduating this spring with a bachelor's degree in eye design and a concentration in community development and a minor in women's and gender studies. So since I can remember, I've always had a passion for everything and anything that has to do with art and design. Along with that, I have also always had a great willingness to help anyone that I see who is struggling. My big inspirations for this piece have been sculpture art, my sexual assault advocacy background, and my love for illustrations, and the artists Kelly Roomstein and writer Chanel Miller. This piece has been largely influenced in how I have seen and experienced firsthand how being a victim of sexual violence can shatter one's self-esteem and tear relationships apart. It is not only the victim that deals with these repercussions of being sexually assaulted, but also their loved ones. It's about how losing yourself and finding yourself again is a journey of setbacks and breakthroughs. I have chose to share Chanel Miller's sexual assault story because it is extremely moving and I myself can relate to her story along with many others. This is Chanel Miller. So one of my favorite quotes from her victim statement says, "I am with you. On nights when you feel alone, I am with you. When people doubt you or dismiss you, I am with you. I fight every day for you. I never stop fighting. I believe you. Lighthouses don't go running all over the island looking for boats to save. They just stand there shining." Here are a few images of a sculpture that my work was inspired by. It is titled Look by Michael Murphy. I really love this piece because it shows the process of the art itself and that there can be many different viewpoints and ways to interpret it. So once I decided what I wanted to portray within my work, I needed to find a way to implement into our inverse group theme. As a group, our theme was based on how COVID-19 impacted our lives within the last year, and we wanted to find a way to reflect upon it. All of our works were focused around two words that contradict one another, and my two words were conceal and heal. With that being said, I came to the conclusion that I wanted my work to portray and express how our stories, whether positive or negative, make us who we are, and that people should not be ashamed of their stories. So when it comes to my process, I reflected, and then I looked at background information, and then I decided on a story. First, I'm sure by now we have all seen or heard the new coined COVID-19 phrase, safer at home. Our homes as a safe space is something that many of us take for granted. But everyone staying at home doesn't automatically mean that everyone is also always safer at home. This led me to the question, what happens to individuals who can't call their home a safe space? Next, I started doing research. One of the most shocking facts that I discovered was that every 73 seconds an American is sexually assaulted, meaning that 1,183 Americans, physically and or mentally, were forced to participate in any sexual activity that they did not consent to. This drove me to my final proposal. Throughout my process, I tended to change my mind quite frequently. I had a difficult time deciding which sexual assault survivor I wanted to base my piece off of because all of their stories were so moving. I finally ended up choosing Chanel Miller's story because it was one of the most widely known, which would make it easier for people to understand and grasp my overall concept. Throughout my process, one thing that I really struggled with was building my final structure. The biggest lesson that I learned was measure twice, cut once, because I ended up cutting a lot of my wood pieces wrong and had to redo them in order to make the plexiglass fit within the box itself. Here are a few other images of the process I had to go through in order to come to the final outcome of my project. And finally, the moment you have all been waiting for, the final project. When looking at the front of my work, you see sexual assault survivor Chanel Miller, but when you walk to the side, you are able to pull out each piece of plexiglass and read excerpts from her victim statement. My work is located downtown Winona in the empty lot next to Blooming Grounds, and I urge you all to go check it out and interact with it. Lastly, I would like to thank Professor Ma for the 24-hour support and endless commitment to his students, Abramson Properties for allowing us to use their empty lot for our show, and the WSU Art and Design Department for the resources and space that I and my fellow classmates needed in order to bring our show to life. Thank you for listening, and feel free to go explore and ask us any questions you have about our pieces.